and I knew it. I'd been up there before. It allows for a beautiful sight. Margie wasn't sure she could take that trek because you know, you'd be walking, hiking for at least an hour and a half, maybe two, uphill and back. But when you get there, it's you see the whole island and beyond down south to the Grenadines. You can see them, and you turn north and you look over and you can see St. Lucia. So it's a lovely panoramic. And then somebody told me a lot of trees have grown up and the view ain't so great. I'm like, okay, I'm probably a little too old for this. And Marjorie certainly would. And I mainly wanted to go up there so that she could go see what I had seen years ago with one of my sons. So we scratched that one and we went to a very tame botanical garden. And I mean, I have nothing against gardens, but from going on a hike to see a volcano smoking and going into a nice tame botanical garden, which basically they have a few parrots in cages and then just trees, walking around. No comparison. But then towards the end of the week, I think it was Saturday, we went on a ferry across to Bequia, docked at Port St. Elizabeth. Now, Bequia is one of several of the Grenadine Islands. Now, Grenada is at the very bottom of it, but that's a completely different country, different government. But St. Vincent further up north has the Grenadines, which are smaller islands spotted down. And they're different sizes. But Bequia is the largest one and closest to St. Vincent, south of it. And then you have Mustique, Union Island, Petit St. Vincent, and a couple more, I don't remember their names. But lovely view. I brought a magazine type thing that a lady gave me, and you all can feel free to look at that when it's available and kind of get a sense of what it was like. It's very, very pretty. But for Marjorie, it was very scary. For me, a little bit too. The roads are about this wide. And so you have to really tighten up when you're passing each other. And they're very curvy and very mountainous. No, you drive on the right side, we drive on the left side, yeah, on the wrong side. So you have to adjust to that. The first full day we were there, I said, Marjorie, let's go take a bus. So we walked down from the guest house where we were staying, and we stood by in the hot sun there for maybe 30 minutes before we could catch just a regular bus, small bus taking us down into the town. And then we just found a little wayside, nothing fancy, kind of restaurant type place in a little market. And it was just real St. Vincent food, nothing catered for tourists, just for the locals. And I wanted her to get a taste of that. So we got a taste of that. And then on Saturday, we went across to Bequia, and that was fancy stuff. We were sitting, and I'll show you pictures or a video. We were sitting in a restaurant that's right by the sea, and you could literally see little fishes swimming around out there. And it's just beautiful, just beautiful. But getting up on them roads, we went up to a place called Fort Charlotte, and you could look down on either side of it. You could look at the capital city. But I mean, we went up on a road, it felt like it was about this wide. Because when the van was on there, it crossed over a little bridge, which wasn't really a bridge with anything on it. It was just at the top of two hills, and they just leveled off. So you cross over, and as soon as you're done, you take a hairpin turn, continue up, and then another turn, and then you're up at the port. Margie just kind of looked down in the van, and I guess she was saying, "Near my God to thee." She would look out, and I was up front, but and then it was a lady driver. I'll show you her, and young girl, and I said, Marjorie, don't speak, stop talking to her, because once you start a conversation, she never stops. She will talk you for an hour, half an hour, however long the journey is. She'll be telling you stuff on top of stuff on top. And when she's talking, she'll like this one hand on the steering wheel, and then something going, she does back over, and then her phone ring. Can you pick up the phone? And then she's in her bag trying to find the phone, and I'm like, But at any time you felt like you could fall off. But so apart from Marjorie being scared for the roads, but she loved what she saw, everything else. But it you know, so if you plan to go, just make sure you know there are some real narrow roads. On the windward side, it's the roads are a little wider and less precipitous. But when you go on the leeward side, which is the west side of the island, I guess the winds were not able to skim down those mountains as much. So it's really, really some sharp turns, narrow roads, and Margie said, "They're driving too fast." I said, "No, they're not driving fast." The girl drove really slow. She was always having piled up traffic behind her all while. And as soon as they saw, I don't know, 50 feet, and something will come in here, is he gonna make it? Yep. And he's in, and she just break up and let them in. So, but we saw some folks that I hadn't seen in 20, 30 years. And, you know, it was moving to meet those folks again. So we're back, I'm going to be back. Kind of watched you a little bit Sunday morning as we were in the airport watching what was going on here. So I had seen you, some of you, but you haven't seen me for a long time. All right. So here we are. Today is third Sunday, and we are going to look at a few songs as part of our class. Let's start with the one that we just sang. I know that there are a few things that probably need straightening out on it. So let's look at that. And we're probably going to look at the other two that are right beside there if you don't know them. If not, we see them anyway. All right. Let's kind of examine the structure. When I was back in music school or when in college, they would say that music is kind of formatted. Let me see if I can explain this to you now. So music, a lot of times, there are portions of it that is repeated. You don't have from the start of the music something different going on all the while. So they would structure it like they would say A, B, A, which means you sing a portion that you could call it A. Then there's another part that's different. You say that's B. And then you might go back to A. Sometimes the way it's structured is A, so you have that phrase repeated, you know, that musical phrase. And then you might go B, and sometimes you might go C. So let's look at this now, and you'll kind of see what's happening. It kind of helps you to understand how to sing it. So the first phrase, this is the day that the Lord hath made. Now, look at the notes in the melody line on the top part, right? And I'm going to sing it to you. And hear the sound. This is the day. This is the day. Does that sound familiar? It sounds like a repeat, right? Now, the second part then has an add-on. So you have, this is the day. This is the day that the Lord hath made, that the Lord hath made. So what are we seeing? We are seeing things being repeated. So in that first entire phrase, we have, this is the day, one. This is the day, two. But now, second one is like something more is connected. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord hath made. So if we think of that now as the second new phrase, because you have this is the day, then that the Lord hath made. That's a new phrase. And then it repeats again, that the Lord hath made. So you have two repeat, two repeat. Does that kind of simplify it? All right, so when you start the song, that's just all you're doing. Don't make it complicated more than that. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord hath made, that the Lord hath made. So that's an entire phrase, the first half. Then the second line, I will rejoice. So this is kind of a new phrase, right? But this phrase now is not the same as the first one. This is the day now, because the first one is do re mi. In the second line is ti ti do re, ti ti do re. It feels similar, but it starts different. So at the beginning of the song, you say do re mi. Essentially, is how you start. Do re mi Do, do, re, mi. That's how you start it, by repeating that little phrase, do, do, re, mi, do, do, re, mi. Right? But in the second line, ti, ti, do, re, ti, do, re, ti, do, re, ti, do, re. You see? I will rejoice, repeat, I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. So again, it's the same repeating system, right? Same repeating, but the second one starts lower than the first one. This is the day that the Lord hath made, that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. So that completes those two first phrases, right? Then now in the third staff, the third line is entirely different. This is the day that the Lord hath made. And repeat, I will rejoice and be glad in it. So that second phrase there, I will rejoice, is a little different because you'll notice it doesn't stay on the la, on the C, it goes up. La. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice. It starts out the same way, but it makes a little deviation in that second verse. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. Back to the beginning. You see? So when we come from I will rejoice and be glad in it, I will rejoice and be glad in it. Re, that you come down to re, do, re, mi. And it's like starting on. This is the day that the Lord hath made. So there are some similarities, but slight changes. So if you don't focus on it and get it right, you'll mix them up, right? But again, from the beginning, this is the day that the Lord hath made, that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. This is the day that the Lord hath made, that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. All right. Any questions on that one? Can you sing it now by yourself without me helping? I'm going to give you a try. If you stumble, I'll catch you. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord hath made, that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad. Hold on. Second verse is not quite like the first one. Go a little bit. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. That's a little difference that's in there. If you don't catch that right, then you end up finding yourself off key for the next phrase. You would not start on the door, but you'll start on something else. So, this is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. One more time. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord hath made. That the Lord hath made. I will rejoice. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Now let me teach you something interesting that I just thought of. I learned this in St. Vincent the other day. They sing a song a little different from this. If I get time, I'll show you what that song is actually. But the concept, they did that, was what I'm seeing possibly in the song. So what they did was the song leader would say, "Nearer, my God, to thee," and then the congregation would say, "Nearer to thee," and then the song leader comes over and say, "In though it be a cross," and then they will come back in. And so it's like a back and forth thing. But look at this song. If I was to say, "This is the day," then you say, "This is the day," I say, "That the Lord hath made." That the Lord hath made. I will rejoice. I will rejoice. And be glad in it. And be glad in it. Everybody say, "This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord hath made." I just thought that was different and kind of interesting, So it's just something to think about, probably doing like that sometimes. But then it's something that God has to choose, right? So it's kind of like an echo, and back in the old times, when music was being done, it wasn't so fancy like it's got now with all these different note things. A lot of times, and sometimes you find those kinds of expressions, like in Catholic Church or some Episcopalian churches, or even Russian Orthodox, the priest will lead off a chant, and he will say something. And that's what singing used to be long, thousands of years ago. They were fancy like us. And notation wasn't even like this, it was like an estimation. They draw one line, and they'd say, note here, note above the line, another note further, one on the line, and it gave them an idea. And a lot of it was by memory, because they were not doing notation as specific as we have today. So a lot of it was coming there and they said, let's try to give you an idea how it should be. And it was just kind of weird looking. But that's how it is. But it is that concept here. That back in the old days, they would sing like that. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord hath made, that the Lord hath. So you see that continuing echoing of what the leader said. And you do still find that in some religious organizations today. The priest will say something and there's a particular phrase that they are to repeat. If you've ever been to a Catholic funeral, you'll probably hear them do that. He says something and the congregants know what to say right after. They have their little book, and they follow along. All right. This one good?
Yep.
All right. You know 890? I'm right on that page. I'm just going to look at that too. 890, 889. Now this song, I don't know how they put this together. And I'm looking at this now, this is not even it. Back home, we sing these as choruses. All right? I'm going to tell you how I know it before I even try to read this. I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God. I've been washed in his fountain and cleansed by his blood. Joined here with Jesus as I travel along. I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God. That's how I know it. Goran William probably made some modification on this. And it's going to mess me up if I try to teach this now. So I'm just going to teach you how I know it because it's just really very simple. And this is Caribbean, Jamaican feel. I'm so glad I'm a part of the family of God. I've been washed in the fountain and cleansed by his blood. Joint heirs with Jesus as we travel this far. For I'm a part of the family of God. And there's some different phrasing down here. We normally don't say son. We say as we travel along. And I looked down and you see that's what got me. I saw the words. I said, okay, let me fit those words in. But we don't know this as we travel. As we travel this on. I'm part of the family of God. And the end part sounds kind of like we're part of the family. I think they're mixed it in a little bit here. But I tell you what we know out of here, never seen a book, was that. All right. And you know 889? Jesus, there's something about that name. All right. Make sure you do. Let's just go over a line of it one time. Jesus, 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 there's just something about that name. Master, Savior, Jesus, like the fragrance after the rain. Jesus, 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 let all heaven and earth proclaim. Kings and kingdoms will all pass away, but there's something about that name. All right. Seems like you're good on that one. Let me, and this is going to be because I've been away. Why I wanted to try these two. Number 340. Are you there? All right. Everyone know this one?
Yes.
All right. I turned to this one because where I was the other day, the song just came to me and kind of I just feel like we should reflect on the words that's in there and the challenge that it gives for us. So let's consider the words for time we sing. Sing a little bit of it. Now forget you, I just said 3 what?
340.
3 4?
340.
3 4 0. I lost it.
Swift and dry.
Yes, I lost the page and then.
Swiftly return.
What's that one? I want us to think on this because of what it says. Your life really goes on very quickly. Sometimes we get so busy doing so much stuff. By the time we turn around, the day's done, or we have lived through a number of years and like, oh, I saw a preacher. He preached down in Georgia, Cossetta, Georgia. And he's from St. Vincent, and he posted that he was there a few days ago. I didn't see him. I don't even know if we were there at the same time, but I had known him long years ago. He came to Jamaica many years ago, and he resides in the States now. And he was saying that he could not walk. He came home and could not walk, that he had done some walking down there and a lot of traveling around, and seemed like, I don't know if he tore muscles or what in his calf, but he just came back and was laid up. And the reflection was, I'm just not as young as I used to be, Going back home and just thought he could run up and down these hills like when he was a boy. You old man now. So that kind of hit him. But it brought to me the idea, swiftly we are turning life's daily pages. Swiftly the hours are changing to years. And then the question comes, how are we using God's golden moments? Shall we reap glory or shall we reap tears? This is something for us to think about. What are we doing each day? How are we utilizing the things and the opportunities around us that in some way they bring glory to God? Now, I'm not telling you stop what you're doing in terms of stop living your life. But I'm talking about interlocking. Jake's a truck driver. I used to be a truck driver. And we go places. We go a lot of places. But do you see what's in that? What is in that is just a car pocket full of tracks. Giving another truck driver on the side of the road. Or the place the destination where we go. Act like they didn't know you leave a flyer or something about the church on that piece of equipment or in that car. And somebody finds it. Somebody might read it. You know what I'm saying? Or you meet someone on the side of the road and they're in a little spot of trouble and you stop to help them. They're a stranger, but you're helping them, and in the process of that, you introduce them to Christ in a little way. You're still doing your job. You're doing what you're doing to make your living, but you're finding ways, and it doesn't have to be a truck driver. It could be anything else that you do, and we find a way. And everybody's circumstance a little. And here's another thing to remember. The person you might meet tomorrow and say hi to, I would probably never ever meet them in my entire life. You cannot depend on me to be the one who's going to share the gospel with them. It might very well be that you are the only opportunity that they get. Someone that they had come close to that knows the gospel, knows what Christ has done in your life, and find a way to just share a little bit of that with them. And that's what this song reminds me about. I go down to St. Vincent, and although it's not millions there, but it gives me a perspective of this wide world out there. And millions are groping without the gospel. Quickly, they'll reach eternity's night. Shall we sit idly as they rush onward? And then the encouragement is haste. Let us hold up Christ, the true light. So in some way, we are to show ourselves. And then, of course, third verse, souls that are precious, souls that are dying while we rejoice. Our sins are forgiven. Didn't Christ die also for them? Shouldn't they get that opportunity like we have gotten? And this is just something for us to think about as Christians, because we are the light of the world. We are that city set on a hill. We are the salt of the earth. We are the ones that are supposed to make things better. Sometimes even us as Christians, we sit around too much thinking about what the politicians are doing and what law enforcement is doing to make life better for us. And that's not how we should be thinking. As Christians, we should be thinking, I can make a difference in the world. That's what they asked me to come down to St. Vincent the other day and talk about. Empowering them as Christians, as disciples, to make a difference in the world. And every one of us should have that mindset. What can I do? And you don't have to be a big, big, outstanding, talented person. Every one of us has a little something. Like we've been talking about talents. Every one of us has a little something. So this song just kind of put those things in perspective for me. Let's sing a verse or two. Swiftly we're turning like many pages. Swiftly the arms are changing to years. How are we using God's golden moments? Shall we reap glory? Shall we reap tears? Into our hands the gospel is given. Into our hands is given the light. Haste let us carry God's precious message, guiding the erring back to the right. Souls that are precious, souls that are dying, while we rejoice, our sins are forgiven. Giving not also that for these lost ones, then let us point the way unto them. Into our hands the gospel is given. Into our hands is given the light. Haste let us carry God's precious message, guiding the erring back to the right. All right. Now, one more.
I got a question.
Yes, sir. Question.
Okay, go down on the baseline. Shall we reap glory, shall we reap tears? Now then, there is 3 sets of notes right there. Is that an option for the bass?
Yes.
Come up, that's what I thought, because
Yes.
it feels better for me to go up.
Yes, because writers usually recognize that there are 2 kind of basses. One that they call a baritone or a first bass, and a second bass, which is bass. Not me, more like Casey. Way down there. I'm baritone. So I can hit most bass notes, but depending on where the song is pitched, I don't have much volume when I go down there. So like, especially at the end when they want to hear all the parts, they'll give you that option to take that middle note, so to speak. And if you'll notice, it would be the same note. It's the same shaped note. It's 3/4. I already flipped my page. Let me go back and show you exactly. Yeah. If you notice the note that is okay, the one that's in the bass line. You say there are 3 notes right at the end, right back to the right. So at the top note, that's a B. Below it would be an A, and below it is G. So that space where that middle note is G. down at the bottom line, it's also a G. That's the first line on the bass staff, a G. So it is essentially the same note. So it's just saying, this is G, G, G. Now, that's about as low as I can go. You see, so it would give that option so that that note would be heard. Because a lot of time when basses go down low, their volume is lower. And the sopranos and the altos and tenors, they'll just kind of drown you out. So they say, go up an octave, let them hear you too. All right, so that's the essence of what that is. All right, that bell rang, right? Somebody rang that bell?
Yeah.
Who rang that bell? Own up to it. Who rang that bell? All right, I'm at 150. I turn to this one, still in that travel mode, so to speak. But this song, the first time I learned this song was in St. Vincent, where we were the other day. First time I learned the song. I was somewhere in the early 80s. I was down there with James Andrews and a team doing a gospel meeting. And we met at nights after services, and when we got back to the hotel or someplace, we had a little devotion and talked about what happened during the day. And I remember a lady that loved the song asked us to sing it. She passed away. She's from Alabama, was from Alabama. And Marjorie remembered this song too as we traveled the other day. And the part in there that gets to me the most, when it says, "Oh Jesus, if I die upon a foreign field someday, 'twould be no more than love demands, no less could I repay. No greater love has mortal man than for a friend to die. These are the words he gently spoke to me." And, it just gives that kind of sense of one who travels. So here goes. In case you don't know, here's what it sounds like. I traveled down a lonely road, and no one seemed to care. The burden on my weary back had brought me to despair. I often complained to Jesus how folks were treating me, and then I heard him say so tenderly, "My feet were also weary upon the Calvary road. The cross became so heavy, I fell beneath the load. Be faithful, weary pilgrim, the morning I can see. Just lift your cross and follow close to me. Oh Jesus, if I die upon a foreign field someday, would be no more than love demands, no less could I repay. No greater love has mortal man than for a friend to die. These are the words he gently spoke to me. In just a cup of water I place within your hand. Then just a cup of water is all that I demand. But if I get to living, they can thy glory see. I'll take my cross and follow close to thee. I had him going a while ago. He went over there and we clutched him with that song. He could not lift up his hand to ring the buzzer. He had to just stand there. And I was watching him out of the corner of my eye. And he was just standing there till finally he just walked away from it. And then he came back. All right, now, thanks for participating. And I want to remind you, because I'm back not being here last week, remember we were talking about the idea of doing a little Sunday school collection, right? So just remember, nothing to affect your regular offering, just a little small change, whatever you can, to develop a fund that I said Jamaica. Well, I've been to St. Vincent now. I'm thinking helping something in St. Vincent too. But anyway, just bear that in mind, and the elders will tell you when we will start doing that. Okay?
Look at our Bible,